Motivation is the biggest lie sold to modern humans, and the reason most people stay exactly where they are. Scroll Instagram for 5 minutes and you will see motivational quotes and reels screaming that you can do it. Podcasts are telling you to hustle harder, yet people are more confused, more addicted, more inconsistent than ever before. If motivation actually worked, people would already be successful, but they are not, because motivation is never a solution, it is entertainment. Motivation feels good and discipline feels boring. So human beings choose feelings over results, and that's why people do not change. They wait to feel like they are changing. And when that feeling disappears, so does the effort. But here's the truth: nobody likes hearing motivation is temporary by design. It's an emotion, and emotions do not build life, systems do. Routine does, and repetition does. But most people do not want systems, they want a surge, a high, a push, and just enough to feel productive without actually becoming disciplined. That's why people get addicted to motivational videos, not to action. They consume inspiration the same way they consume junk food. Quick dopamine, zero nutrition, and then they wonder why nothing sticks. Let's talk about the gym. People do not skip the gym mostly because they are busy. They skip because gym is boring after the first week. The mirrors do not clap, the weights do not hype you, and results do not show up immediately. It takes time. And so motivation dies, and when motivation dies, so does the commitment. That's why people say, I'm not motivated today, as if motivation is a prerequisite for responsibility. But you do not need motivation to brush your teeth. You do not need motivation to charge your phone. You do not need some motivation to show up to work, because those things are a part of a non negotiable routine. The gym is not, the reading is not, learning is not. So they become optional, and optional things get postponed forever. This is where New Year's resolution come in. The biggest motivational festival of the year. Suddenly, on January 1, people decide to fix their lives. New habits, new bodies, new goals. And let me say this clearly: if motivation was enough, January would not be the most failed month in history. People do not need a new year, they need a self trust. Self trust comes from doing things even when you don't feel like it. But most people have broken promises to themselves for years, and they no longer believe their own words. That's why they need external motivation: quotes, speakers, podcasts, because they internally do not trust themselves anymore. Let's talk with some successful people's examples. Let's look at J.K. Rowling, single mother rejected by multiple publishers, writing in cafes. No motivation, no validation, no certainty. She wrote because writing was her job, not because she felt magical that day. If she wanted to wait till she feels like it, Harry Potter would not exist. Now let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. People think he trains hard because he's motivated. Wrong. He trains because it's routine. Even after winning Ballon d'Ors, even after becoming a global icon, same drills, same diet, same discipline. Because excellence is not emotional, it is mechanical. Now let's take Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, but the facts are clear. He worked 80 to 100 hours, slept on factory floors, not because it felt good, but because the work demanded it. Motivation did not build SpaceX, consistency did. Even in India, if you look at Sachin Tendulkar, thousands of hours in the nets, same shots, same practice, nobody cheering, no cameras. Greatness was built when nobody was watching, and that's the pattern you see everywhere. Successful people do not feel special, they don't wake up inspired every day, they wake up committed. Here is the uncomfortable part. The difference between them and most people is not talent, is not luck, is not motivation. It is this: when they do not feel like doing it, they do it anyway. So when you do not feel like going to the gym, you skip. When they do not feel like training, they show up. When you do not feel like working, you scroll. But when they do not feel like working, they execute still. That is it. No secret, no hack, just obedience to routine. And here is why most people hate this truth, because it removes excuses. You cannot blame the system, you can't blame motivation, you cannot blame the year. And you either showed up or you did not. Successful people are not motivated, they are conditioned. Conditioned to act, conditioned to follow systems, and conditioned to ignore feelings. That conditioning is built through boring, repetitive days. That's why motivation contains cells and discipline contains scares people, because motivation flatters and discipline exposes. Do like, share, and subscribe.